This is an Ultima that pushes 617 horsepower from a 6.1-liter BMW V12. But actually the Ultima Mark III doesn't have a V12. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. This isn't any regular Ultima. This is Edward. The powertrain test move for the legendary McLaren F1. This is just one of many cursed examples of automakers using downright weird shit as test mules. Enjoy the list. This 964/959 looking contraption is the Porsche 965. The story of the 965 is a little convoluted, to say the least. It wasn't related to the 959 despite the swoopy engine cover. It was an engineering mule used to try and solve a vexing problem: how to replace the 930's turbocharged air-cooled engine to power a new sub-959 range-topping 911 model. But halfway through the development, cost ballooned, the project floundered, and ultimately in its final days, its engineers got desperate. Their fancy flat six with water-cooled heads was too complicated and too expensive to work. What about a V8? The result can be seen here in this official Porsche video shot at the secret warehouse near Zupenhassen, which is stuffed to the gills with an assortment of wonderful oddities. Rare prototypes alongside this test mule. It utilized a water-cooled Audi V8 out the back, a last-ditch effort to find a cost-effective and power-dense solution that will meet project goals. But with an internal management shuffle, the 965 ultimately died, all prototypes crushed. Except this one, and thus its dead parted ways for the birth of the 964. This Mad Max looking contraption isn't a new car disguised as an old car. It's more of a naked Porsche 918 Spider with bits and pieces of 991 era 911 trying and failing to cover its inner workings. The 991 bumper was so narrow they had to split it in half just to get it to span the much wider rear end of the 918. This was an early powertrain test mule for the 918 Spider, which Porsche actually let journalists ride it at Nardo as sort of a yes, it's actually happening, we are going to build this thing sort of exercise. When Rolls-Royce set out to develop the upcoming Cullinan SUV, it didn't have an off-road vehicle to use as a mule for suspension and aero development, so it used a Phantom instead, with a lifted suspension, shortened wheelbase, and a rear wing. Why? The Cullinan doesn't have one. Why the fuck does this prototype need a rear wing? Anyway, it's a shame because the final Cullinan ended up looking like a London taxi. Fuck you! Ferrari is no stranger to splicing a new engine into an old car while it's refining the oily bits of a new project, aka incest between siblings. Sweet home Alabama. This fabulous Mad Max monstrosity was once a relatively humble 348, but in the idol you'll find the 6-liter V12 that went on to star in the Enzo. The sacrificial lamb 348 was stretched out by 250mm to accommodate the Enzo's ginormous V12.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
The Frankenstein Rari was auctioned off to collectors first in 2005 and later in 2014. This matte black monstrosity was internally known as F-150 Muletto M4, and it was used as a first-phase development and test mule for the iconic
Ferrari, the Ferrari.
While it may look like Ferrari's design department weren't given enough polygons to play with, This angular machine is primarily based off the Ferrari 458. Its aluminum chassis was modified to accommodate an early iteration of the LaFerrari's hybrid F140 V12, which in production form would produce a whopping 949 combined horsepower. In the late 2000s, Lotus decided to go on a new model blitz, including a new luxury saloon, a big GT coupe, and a core supercar, the new Esprit.
Same, but different. But still same.
It was initially planned to feature the V8 from the Lexus ISF because Toyota was already supplying the 4-cylinder engine for the Elise and the V6 in the back of the Evora. Weirdly, Lotus then decided it would build its own V8.
Bad idea.
Apparently that twin-turbo V8 was capable of 500 horsepower. Lotus actually spent millions of pounds developing that engine. They spent more money on that engine than they did on the entire Lotus Elise, but they didn't have any money left over, so they had to use the transmission from a Renault, which wasn't capable of handling 500 horsepower. So they detuned the engine to 350. So right off the bat, the car was neutered,
which was seen testing on the lanes of Norfolk before the project was canned and the British-powered Ferrari was scrapped, along with the entire poorly executed Lotus rebrand. Between you and me, I haven't thought that much about the TVR Sibera since playing Test Drive 5 many years ago. That's unfortunate, both because the Sibera was sort of like England's answer to the Dodge Viper, and because it happened to play an important role in the development of a far more famous two-door super coupe, the Mercedes SLR. Mercedes and Mclaren used a pair of TVR Sibera test mules to develop the engine for the SLR.
Honorable mención.
In December of 1996, McLaren F1 chassis 11R was reportedly leased to Mercedes-AMG, where it helped birth a new track monster.
Mercedes, McLaren, Mercedes.
At the time, the Mercedes factory was fully entrenched in the development of their new racing superstar to be the CLK GTR. While you would think a corporation with as much technology and financial might as Mercedes would dedicate as many resources as possible to such an important project, the bigwigs at Stuttgart gave their engineers a panic-inducing time frame of just 128 days. They needed a lifeline, and the 11R was it. Their logic was fairly straightforward. The McLaren F1 and the upcoming CLK GTR were alike in many respects, making 11R the ideal test mule for the development of the CLK GTR's aero package, as well as its V12. Naturally, Mercedes would never admit to using a competitor's creation in the development of their world-beating racer, but a testing at Jarama circuit in Spain between March 10 and March 14, 1997 clearly showed 11R plain dressed up in a body kit that looked suspiciously similar to that of the CLK GTR. Mercedes driver Bernd Schneider managed to crash the prototype during its only test, but AMG still managed to get the CLK GTR ready for the 1997 season, which it won, and F1 GTR chassis 11R was later restored to its former glory. After helping to bring the CLK GTR into this world, 11R was sold and entered the private Swedish collection. The 2020 C8 Corvette idea started back in 2013. when GM needed to work out how to move the engine behind the driver for the 8th generation of the Corvette. What you see here is Project Blackjack, part C7, part C8, with a sprinkling of Holden style to throw off the spice. The truth is that very little Holden UTE was used. The UTE headlights, fascia, mirrors, and tail lights were grafted to custom panels and affixed to the remains of a C7 Corvette at the GM facility. Remember, at this point, the development team only cared about figuring out the underpinnings and how the new suspension and engine layout would best function. Nothing else mattered besides that, and somehow keeping the whole project a secret. Blackjack can be found at the National Corvette Museum, where it is on loan for display. And now for the final act of weird prototypes. Can you guess what this free candy mobile morphed into? An SUV, a minivan, or a wagon? If you chose an SUV, you are wrong. If you chose a minivan, you are also wrong. But if you chose a wagon, congratulations, you are also dead wrong. Because laying beneath this van is a Jag.
Proper Jag.
A Jaguar XJ220.
When the Jaguar XJ220 was under development, a transit van was modified with a mid-mounted XJ220 V6.
But what the hell, boy?
I don't know what the fuck they were hiding, but it wasn't that deep. It never was that deep, Jaguar. You could have just used anything in your lineup. Imagine recording, editing, stop motion animating, keyframe animating, and working on a voiceover and background music design, all on a broken 2022 iPhone SE that overheats and crashes 5 times before I can even complete a single animation. Yes, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what I went through while cooking up this masterpiece for you guys. Hey guys, it's Benji here, and I wanted to thank all of you for watching this video to this point. But right now, I'm on a mission to take over YouTube with this channel. But I can't do it alone. I need a serious sponsor. If you love to support my efforts so I can produce higher quality content, because these videos aren't comfortable for me to record and edit on my broken and overheating 2022 iPhone SE, it's really difficult. This phone is a real potato, and I still managed to put out this amazing video. Imagine what I could do with just a standard editing setup. So yeah, if you would love to sponsor the channel so I can get a proper editing setup to produce higher quality content a lot more efficiently, you can reach out to me on my Instagram at outergeniushead or via email at futurepredictor360@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can subscribe so I can get monetized in time to fund my dream editing setup. Thank you very much for your support. Anyways, that has been it for today's stop motion yap session. Like, comment, subscribe if you heavily fucked this. Bye.